Bill here with Outhouse IT Solutions. We're a small business IT provider working in the West Toronto area. We've been in business for about 8 years, providing primarily break-fix solutions for our small business IT clients. Network audits definitely aren't something new to our industry. We've been doing them for years. Maybe we haven't been calling them that, but the reality is when we take on a new client, the first thing we do is go in and spend sometimes as much as a whole day just reviewing the client's site, reviewing the technology that they're using, and deciding where the sore points are. We were able to change our process fairly easily once we brought Level Platform's network auditing solution in place, because we were able to stop going in after the fact to do a review of the client's site after we had already quoted them, and start doing it during the sales cycle. I'd walk into the client's site with our laptop, our branded and recognizable piece of equipment, plug in one single network cable and a power cord, and we were able to monitor that client's site. We'd drop off one of our laptops, plug it into their network, we'd get back to the office, install a couple of modules, and watch to see what came up. Now, a remote report isn't necessarily 100% of what that client's looking for. We also need to do a walk around and look at what the client's got. We don't use those words, but we provide them with the reports and show them where their security isn't up to date, their backups may not be running regularly, their employees are using internet resources they shouldn't be. We don't use the words, but the client sure gets the message.
My name is Jeremy Nelson. I am president of FCS Inc. LPI is a huge help with the network audits because of the pricing model. Basically, since LPI charges per site instead of per device, it makes it very easy to sell network audits. Because if you're like most LPI partners, you either already have a few licenses you're not using, or it's very inexpensive to get some extra licenses that you can use for network audits. So what you do is you call up your client, or a prospect in most cases, and say, hey, we understand you're having networking issues, or they call you and say they're having networking issues, and you say, hey, we have a solution for you. We have what's something called the network audit. People call it different things. We use network audit. You then put the LPI device into it. We use a device that costs us a grand total of $254, plus the cost of the license, which again is not much. We put that on site. We can put it on site for a week, 2 weeks, up to 3 weeks. It really just depends on the size of the client. Then based on the information that we gather, we prepare a report, we prepare a Visio, and we then present to the client and say, here's what's going on your network. These are the recommendations of what we do to improve it. It makes it very easy to have a very nice conversation with a new prospect. What we basically tell them is that, one, we usually try to keep the cost of the network audit on the low side. We don't give it away for free, but it depends on the size of the network that we're doing and how complicated. So it could range from something as easy as $200 to $400 for a very small network. We had one proposal that was $40,000 for a network for an entire school district. So it can really vary. When you get objections, the question is what the deliverable is. And what we try to assure them is the purpose of what we're doing is to get a baseline of what's going on. You came to us because something's going on in the network. This is a very efficient way to come up with what the problems are on your network. This is a much more organized way. Plus, a real good selling point is the reports that you generate. There's about 8 main reports that we use in our stuff, and LPI has been very good about giving us sample reports that we then send to the customers. So when they say, well, what do I get for my money? You can say, not only are you going to get a Visio and an executive overview of what goes on your network, you're also going to get these 8 reports. And when they start seeing what the 8 reports are, their objections usually go away.